AI with Kai is brought to you by Harris Vacations. Family owned and operating on the Alabama Gulf Coast, they help homeowners maximize their rental income while delivering 5-star guest experiences. Learn more at ourgulfshoresvacation.com.
I'm working with this company that's having us do competitor analysis. And so instead of me having to visit 10 different websites and pull stuff, like I'm plugging those websites into Claude and it is doing that analysis for me, saving me hours.
This is AI with Kai. Practical AI for real business leaders. We break down what matters, talk with people using AI in real businesses, and share one idea you can use right away.
Welcome, everybody, to another AI with Kai. I am your host, Kai Gray, here with producer extraordinaire, Tim Scott. How you doing, Tim?
Pretty good today. I'm starting to realize AI isn't replacing me yet, but it is exposing me. Do you feel that way?
And how do you feel like that?
I read stuff and I'm like, I probably should have known that.
No,
or, why didn't I think of that?
No. That's what this podcast is all about. So it's a great day to talk about AI.
Yes.
The Rundown. 5 AI stories you need to know right now.
Leading off today, Microsoft launches what they call their Vibe Working Suite. So if you're familiar with the term vibe coding, which is what everyone's doing when they're coding up apps in Claude and OpenAI, Microsoft is extending that to vibe working. I'm not sure we really want vibe working, but it is here. And what this means is that Copilot agent mode is now the default for Microsoft 365 Copilot and premium subscribers. So if you're a subscriber to Microsoft 365, you're getting some Copilot agent mode in your stuff. I think that this is a really good move for Microsoft. They've been behind in this. Unfortunately, this will draw 1,000 memes to Clippy, if you're old enough to remember Clippy. But you know, the always-on agentic mode for a lot of these services is becoming increasingly important. Speaking of which, hot on its heels, Google just made your inbox and Drive searchable by conversation. So right now, if you use Gmail or if you use the Google Workspace, this is coming to you. In fact, it may already be live. They're rolling it out across their subscriber base. They just had their big conference, the Google Cloud Next conference, and they unveiled a bunch of things. One of those being that AI is now going to be fully integrated into Google Drive and Gmail. So you, instead of just searching for an exact document, you can give it a much more natural language search. Say, I'm looking for this document that contained X, Y, and Z.
I'm really excited about this feature because I just have a hard time deleting email. I just feel like one day I'm going to need this. I mean, if it's something that's just junk, like, throw it away.
Your time has come.
But this is great. This is great.
This is a tool built for Tim Scott, in fact. That's how Google is promoting this. Salesforce quietly made AI free on all of its SMB plans. This is quite a big deal. Salesforce, for people playing along at home, took a hit in the SaaS apocalypse, which was this idea that a lot of SaaS stocks were going to get negatively impacted by the onslaught of AI. Salesforce is going all in on AI right now. And so they have introduced AI and agentic functionality into the Salesforce suites. So this is also known as the free suite, the starter suite, and the pro suite. So basically, if you have a suite of any kind from Salesforce, you're getting access to their AI, which I think is great. We're now seeing, so we see Microsoft, we see Google, we see Salesforce all releasing agents into their products so they can tie them together. I think ultimately this is what's going to be happening. So if you're a user of those things, you should be on the lookout for those and trying to educate yourself on how you can best use their agents within their tools. Next up, Microsoft Teams will start flagging uninvited AI bots in your meetings. I don't know, Tim, if you've been in a meeting and had more AI note-taking bots than actual humans, but it's a thing that happens. So I remember the CEO of Zoom at some conference said that he predicted in the very near future that Zoom calls could be attended by just bots who would talk to each other.
My meetings normally consist of just, one other person. In corporate America, you show up to a meeting and it's like, oh, wow, so-and-so couldn't make it, so they sent a bot.
That's exactly. In fact, that happens now because a lot of bots are triggered just by a calendar invite, so it will automatically join. Well, Microsoft has decided they don't love that idea. And so they are rolling out something for Microsoft Teams to detect third-party AI meeting bots. So think Otter.ai or Fireflies, things like that. And when they try to join the meeting, they will be labeled as a suspected threat. So organizers can approve them or deny them. So I think that this is ultimately great. The cynic in me is thinking that this is Microsoft wielding some monopolistic power because they have their own note taker and their agentic AI. So that'll be interesting to pay attention to. But if you're using Teams and you're going to be joining Teams calls with a AI bot, know that it's going to be listed as a suspected threat coming up in the not too distant future. Now, speaking of the AI bots, I saw that Mark Zuckerberg just created a digital twin for himself that will be attending meetings on his behalf, and it will be able to speak for him.
If you worked at Meta and you're at your computer working and all of a sudden, you look over and you're like, well, is this the Zuckerberg bot or is this Zuckerberg?
Can you imagine that?
And if you're Zuckerberg, it's like, hey, they treat the bot differently than they do me. What's going on?
Totally. There's a sociology experiment that's either being conducted actively or will be conducted on all of this. And last but not least, the Shopify AI toolkit was just released. This is a free open source AI toolkit that came out that connects Shopify to Claude Code, to Cursor, to OpenAI's Codex, the Gemini CLI. Any of these coding tools, you can now use the AI toolkit to manage your Shopify instance. So if you're running a small store and you would like it to be slightly easier, this seems like the path for you. So be sure to go out and check out the Shopify AI toolkit if you're currently using that. I think that's going to make it much easier for a lot of people that are running stores that may not have a staff of people. You can now talk to it in natural language.
The Spotlight: How Real Businesses Are Using AI.
Blake, thanks so much for joining us today.
Appreciate you having me on.
So for background, you're the Chief Operating Officer and Director of Coaching at Telomere. Can you tell everyone a little bit about what a Director of Coaching is and what Telomere is?
Telomere, we're a concierge medical practice, and we really focus on proactive medicine.
Okay.
I started a company about 4 years ago called Connexus Clinic, and we joined up with Telomere last year to really be able to expand what we were doing for our clients, which is mostly in the medical weight loss, metabolic testing, body composition space. Telomere and my partner, Michael Smith, he had that concierge medical practice, and so it was just a natural merger of the two. We call it proactive medicine.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the definition of proactive medicine?
Yeah, I mean, so just think of our healthcare system, the current model. You get sick, you go to the doctor, they give you a prescription to treat whatever it is.
It works so well.
It was phenomenal. We've got,
well-oiled machine.
Yeah, no waste in it. Everybody's super healthy. So proactive medicine is just saying, damn it, I'm got way more control over my health than we're led to believe. And we're going to do the things that help prevent these problems instead of trying to address them with essentially pharmaceuticals.
Sounds like you have a ton of data.
Have a lot of data. Yes.
We think a lot about how AI is being introduced to small to medium-sized businesses, how it's being used by those businesses. Have you found either in your previous startup or the new combined started up, so to speak, places where AI has helped you or that you'd be interested in applying AI?
Yeah, I mean, we use it daily.
Can you give a sort of a summary of those types of things that you're using it for?
It's kind of all over the map right now. A lot of it, just market research. We are redoing all of our advertising and marketing, and I'm working with this company that's having us do competitor analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of me having to visit 10 different websites and pull stuff,
Right.
I'm plugging those websites into Claude, and it is doing that analysis for me, saving me hours.
So you're a Claude user, not a ChatGPT user or a Perplexity user. You find yourself using Claude mostly?
Yes, enough people say you just have to use Claude, and I'm like, okay, so I will. And I have found I like it much better. I was using Chat.
Yep.
Before that, and so, I mean, that's one simple use case. I mean, and it can be little stuff. We're also switching our EHR, so our electronic health record.
Okay.
And there's no good reporting sales data on my current one. So I had to literally copy and paste a list of all of our invoices from the last 6 months. And when I put it into the Excel spreadsheet, it was a freaking mess. I was able just to upload that spreadsheet,
Nice.
clean this data up which a simple ask for it. It would have taken me hours going line by line because it was almost unreadable,
right?
The formatting from that. And in 30 seconds, I had a super clean spreadsheet.
Perplexity just unveiled a health connector. So basically you can connect it with if you use Apple, your Apple Health metrics, but also, infirmary health and some of the bigger hospital chains. You can connect it so it can pull in all of your data. I like to try these things, so I did, and I thought it was interesting. I've been doing this sort of along the way too, so I upload my panels or things like that. But I could definitely see where it seems to want to go with it. Again, it wasn't terribly insightful. It didn't come up with, it wasn't a proactive sort of medical perspective. But it's interesting that there's so much effort being put in by these companies to connect your health data.
Yeah.
They clearly see that as a frontier for them.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's going to get there for sure. It does seem like when it comes to your health, there is still, at least as of now, and I think it's going to go for a while, where you're going to want that human authority to at very least verify what the AI is saying.
Yeah.
And there's some real basic stuff that is getting built within these electronic health records now that are pulling a lot of this data together to make the physician's time more efficient. Yeah. And that stuff is great.
Like drug interaction data and
and
things
just
like
stuff that they might have to scan a bunch of charts for. That's just pulling and kind of putting it in one spot. So I mean, it's definitely helping. If
you were starting a new business today, or someone came to you for advice about their business and AI, what advice do you think you would give them about AI? How to use it?
Learn how to interact with it in the ways of getting really good prompts. I mean, it coming from a novice like myself, it is very much a garbage in, garbage out type deal. Like when I ask it really stupid questions, I get stupid answers, really just getting beyond the surface level stuff and not treating it like Google. Because I think that's what most people who are new to it and don't really care to really get in that world, they're just treating it like Google now, and they're not
Right.
They're not getting out of it what they could.
In fact, in many ways, it's a worse Google because Google is fully up to date within seconds, right? So if you publish a new website, Google knows about it extremely quickly and will make that part of their search return. Whereas large language models have a cutoff date of their information. So it's not even a timely search, quote unquote. But I totally agree. I think a lot of people see AI as a Google replacement. And for that, it's actually a worse replacement for sort of timely, up-to-date information. You can get it to search, but I see a lot of people who just type in sort of very simple, what are Google queries into Claude or ChatGPT, and they usually get a much longer answer than they were hoping for. Because it's so broad, their question.
I can't imagine starting a company now and just not using AI in some form or fashion. And if you can do it and figure it out, like, good for you.
I'm sure that a majority of people are not using AI for that. They should be.
Really?
But just based on conversations that I'm having and, of course, it makes sort of, logical sense, and AI is extremely effective in sort of walking you through the setup of an LLC and getting a registered agent and all the things you need to do. But I bet you there's still a lot of people out there that are, just going at it alone.
Yeah.
Or hiring folks to do that for them.
Yeah.
Which, not a lawyer, no legal advice, but it does seem like you get a big head start if you use ChatGPT or Claude or any of them, right?
I don't think these things are to the point where they're replacing your CPA or your lawyer or anything like that. I do think that you can get a lot of the pre-work done. So instead of sitting down with those people with nothing, at least having, hey, I think, is this list right? What I have?
Right.
I know I've done that with my CPA a bunch, just trying to get tax stuff. And some of these are like, nope, that's crap. No, that's good. But at least it was, I think it saved us both, probably saved us both some time.
Yeah. Blake, thanks so much for being on AI with Kai. It's a pleasure to have you on, learn about how you're using AI. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoyed it.
This episode is brought to you by Harris Vacations. If you own a rental property on the Gulf Coast, they handle everything: marketing, bookings, cleaning, maintenance, and guest experience, so you don't have to. And if you're planning a trip, they offer a wide range of homes across Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and Fort Morgan. To learn more or browse available properties, visit ourgulfshoresvacation.com.
The Playbook. One practical way to use AI right away.
Hey, Kai, I want to hijack the playbook really quick before you get started.
It's a hijacking in progress.
Now that we're about 4 episodes in, we're asking everybody, like, hey, what large language model do you use? And everybody's kind of like, I do different things. I'm similar, although I tend to just use ChatGPT because all my stuff's in there. I go try to use something else, like everybody's talking about Claude. So I'm using Claude a little bit, but the free version. So I run out quickly. Then I'm back over to ChatGPT. And it's just like all of my projects are in there. And so I just feel like I can't break free. Any advice there?
Yes, you're in luck. So if you want to move to Claude, which is made by Anthropic, released a tool to basically extract all your information out of ChatGPT and put it into Claude. I have not used it, but it's built for exactly what you're after. Your use case is their model. So I would check that out if you're trying to move from ChatGPT into Claude. I'm very surprised that OpenAI has not made the reverse, but they have not. But you brought up the main topic of the playbook this week, which is projects. So it's something that...
And we didn't plan that, listeners. We didn't plan that, by the way.
We were just,
This is just flying by the seat of our pants here.
We just think alike. No, so it's probably the advice that I give most to anyone, and that is to use projects. These are so all of the clients support some notion of this. So if it's Claude Desktop, it's called a project. If it's ChatGPT, it's a project. If it's Perplexity, it's a space. If you're using Gemini, it's more of a gem. But I think that they also have a project notion as well. And what a project is basically just a little mini instance of your AI that's tuned just for the topic of your project. So for instance, I have a project called AI with Kai podcast, and I'm able to give it custom instructions that are more detailed than my general instructions for all of Claude. So it knows when we record this, it knows about previous guests, it knows about what the goals of the podcast are, things like that. And so now when I'm in that project chatting with it, it has all of this information. It doesn't need me to fill in these blanks. So I would say if you're asking AI about the same topic more than 3 times, create a project and tune that project. And when you start doing that, the client will build up a memory about that project, and you can keep coming back into it seamlessly. And so it's an extremely helpful thing. I think it unlocks just an amazing amount of power for all of the clients. And it's one of those areas that until you start using it, you either don't know it's there or don't understand why it's so powerful. So projects allow you to upload documents into the project space to create custom instructions like we talked about. And the client itself will start to build up a custom memory. So I always talk about my John Deere ride-on lawnmower. Well, I have a project just for that. So when I jump back into that project, and that happens to be on ChatGPT, when I jump back into that project, it knows everything I've done, which feels like thousands of repairs on this stupid thing. And it will advise me on the next step. So I don't have to give it any context. I'm shocked that it has not told me just to cut bait and buy a new mower. It disappoints me, in fact, that it hasn't said that. But
I think it's programmed not to do that, though.
I know that
because every time I talk to it, it tells me how I'm thinking the right way.
Maybe you're just always thinking the right way. That's you gotta,
not according to my wife. But I will agree with you. The projects, if you're not using projects, I mean, it's just a game changer, and especially being able to upload source documents. Like for this podcast, I upload the transcript to the project folder every week because if I need you saying something, it can go in and tell me where it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are countless uses for projects. I've never found a bad one. Right. And so just like all things AI, the more effort you put into it, the better the output's going to be. Projects falls into that nicely. The more you work with your project, the more background data you give it, the better the output will be. So if you're not using projects, your homework this week is to go start a project now. It can be on anything. So one very helpful project for myself and a lot of people who I talk to about this is create one for your house, right? You probably have a lot of data about your house, sort of whether it's utility bills, whether it's, construction you've done, you name it, from real estate listings. Put all of that into a project just about your house, because over time you'll find it becomes very convenient to figure out, what circuit a light is on, right? If you've already documented that in a previous time, you don't have to redo a lot of those things. So that's a very helpful project for me, is just all things that have to do with my house.
Interesting.
A funny thing keeps happening to me. People keep asking me if this podcast is AI. They ask if I'm AI. And they're always disappointed when I say no.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not. I try to take it as a compliment somehow, but I'm not sure I should be. So for anyone who's curious, this is unfortunately how I really sound and not AI. But we've had great feedback to this podcast. I have been blown away. The amount of people who messaged me or seen me out and about and said some very nice things about the podcast. It's really, really appreciated. For those listening, I just want to say thank you. This has been a really good experience. Makes it fun to do every week.
You're listening to AI with Kai. For more episodes, practical tools, and business insights, visit aiwithkai.com. Follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with someone building a business on the Gulf Coast.